Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking some truly powerful ideas and breaking them down into actionable insights straight from our source material. We're going to unpack a short but absolutely incredibly impactful parable titled The Girl Who Never Gave Up. You know, we all have towering ambitions, right? Big, scary goals. But let's be totally honest with ourselves. The absolute hardest part of any journey is surviving the messy middle. That deeply isolating, super frustrating phase right between the initial excitement of starting something new and the eventual triumph of succeeding. Well, this text gives us a really profound look at exactly what it takes to navigate that exact space.
They laughed when she started. Yeah, the text doesn't exactly ease us in with warmth and encouragement, does it? Instead, it drops us right into the harsh, immediate reality of external skepticism. And think about how common this is. When you first step out to try something new, before you have literally any proof of concept, the most frequent response from the world isn't applause. No, it's often doubt and sometimes outright ridicule. This opening line brilliantly sets the stage for the massive internal battle our protagonist is about to face.
What's really interesting here is the stark contrast the source paints between what she lacked and what she actually possessed. Look at the total absence of external material resources. She had no expensive camera, no fancy studio, zero famous friends to boost her signal. But then, the text explicitly points out what she did have, a dream in her heart and courage in her soul. It's a fantastic reminder, isn't it? The sheer power of internal willpower is really the only true prerequisite for starting. The material things? That's just noise. The internal drive is the actual engine.
Now, the word that absolutely jumps off the page for me is quietly. Every day, she worked quietly while others doubted her. She didn't spend her precious energy arguing with critics in the comments section. She wasn't out there writing these long defensive posts justifying her vision to anyone who would listen. She just focused entirely on the work itself. In a world that constantly demands we announce every little thing we're doing, there is something incredibly strategic and, frankly, powerful about this quiet dedication. It acts like a shield, protecting the dream from the surrounding negativity.
Anna, oh man, that negativity was definitely present. The story introduces the exact words of the doubters, and it starts with his brutal, absolute statement, "You'll never make it." Hearing this from the people around you takes a massive psychological toll. I mean, it isn't just a critique of the work, it's an absolute dismissal of her potential as a person. These words really highlight the immense mental friction she had to push through every single time she sat down to create. Then they hit her with the second quote. Why even try? Honestly, this question might be even more insidious. It's specifically meant to completely drain her motivation and attack the very core purpose of her dream. It subtly suggests that her effort is just a naive waste of time. And let's be real, when you are putting in hours of work with absolutely zero immediate reward, isn't this the exact question that starts to echo in your own mind? That internal echo makes those external voices so much harder to ignore. But the text gives us a beautifully honest admission about the reality of her journey, and it's one every single one of us can relate to. The views were small. The progress was slow. It doesn't pretend that having courage just magically results in overnight viral fame. So, if you've ever felt deeply frustrated by your everyday struggles, or if you've ever stared at metrics that absolutely refuse to budge despite your hardest efforts, well, this part of the source directly validates your experience. It is supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be grueling. But let's see how this actually builds. One video became 10. 10 became 100. It is the sheer mathematical reality of just putting your head down and doing the work. Day 1 is just a single, solitary effort. But by week 2, it's a small collection. By month 6, it's a substantial body of work. She built her foundation brick by brick, letting the sheer volume of her quiet effort compound over time, which, as we'll see, ultimately led to the triumphant success years later. Yet, she never stopped. Let's just take a second and let the sheer, stubborn persistence of those 5 tiny words sink in completely. Despite the incredibly slow progress, despite the tiny views, despite the loud laughter and those super insidious questions we talked about, she just kept going. This right here is the absolute turning point of the parable. Because here is where the source fundamentally redefines what it means to actually win. She knew something the doubters totally missed. Success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit. I love this. It shifts the entire requirement for achievement far away from raw, innate talent or having all the right equipment, and places it squarely on relentless consistency. It literally levels the playing field for absolutely everyone. In fact, we can distill her overarching journey straight from the text into this super concrete 4-step formula. Step 1. Start exactly where you are, without the fancy gear. Step 2. Work quietly.
completely ignoring the noise and the skeptics. Step 3, keep moving forward even when the progress is agonizingly slow and the metrics are tiny. And step 4, never stop. This isn't just a nice story. It's literally a blueprint derived straight from the source that you can take and immediately apply to whatever ambitious project you're building right now.
And then we reach the inevitable plot twist. Fast forward years later, and the exact same people who were laughing at her in the beginning are suddenly paying very close attention. They definitely aren't laughing anymore. Now they're desperate for her secret, asking, "How did you do it?" It so perfectly captures the irony of success, doesn't it? The very people who mock your process today are going to be the ones asking for your roadmap tomorrow.
And her response to them is just flawless. I simply kept going when everyone else gave up. It brilliantly illustrates the ultimate quiet victory of perseverance over doubt. Notice she didn't boast about her skills. She didn't rub their past mockery in their faces. She just stated the simple, totally unglamorous truth of her journey. She wanted a war of attrition.
The text concludes with an explicit moral, and honestly, it feels like it's written directly for us. Your future is created by what you do today, not by what others think about you. It completely severs your potential from other people's opinions. What someone says about you, that's completely out of your control. But the brick you lay today, the quiet work you actually put in, that is entirely in your hands, and that is what actually builds tomorrow. The parable leaves us with this final, beautiful thought. Dreams work when you do. It is such a deeply motivating reminder that a dream isn't some sort of magical spell. It's a set of instructions. It rewards the hard work, the quiet consistency, and the sheer courage of every single person who is actually willing to try. Your dream is totally ready to materialize, but it absolutely requires your active daily participation. Which brings us to the final, provocative thought we have to confront from this explainer. The girl in the story made her